Alright, okay. It's definitely been a day. Or several days at this point. Right, Marcus? Just on time.
I managed to find my way here again.
Congratulations. Definitely looks like the antipsychotics are working for you.
I usually pride myself on being able to navigate places. If I wasn't, I wouldn't have had a courier service job for so long.
Fair enough.
Which is kind of surprising. But perhaps the giant rats were not real. In retrospect.
I mean, yeah, it's Zafira in general. Unless this was before Zafira for you, in which case then... Yeah, it could be any number of things. I'm not gonna, draw conclusions.
The crustaceans were large, but I only ran into one or two large mammals.
Wait, was that the... No,
We have giant crabs.
Did the giant crabs annoy you?
I ate them.
I was gonna say, so it's the Crustacean Frustration Center, is it? There we go.
Oh my goodness.
Terrible
Why
jokes.
did the boys never think about that?
Terrible jokes.
I love terrible jokes.
Yeah, it's the best way to start a morning, right?
I was once and I basically filled the entire cafe with dad jokes. All I said was like one or two, and then everyone else kept on going. It wasn't my fault. I was just the one that did the spark.
Yeah,
the Inferno was everyone else.
I've had a couple of really bad ones with like cheesy pickup lines. Like, just standing around the casino and just out of nowhere, just everyone starts a cheesy pickup line conversation. It's kind of funny, surprisingly. Like, you look at cheesy pickup lines, they're very much like dad jokes.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they're fucking terrible. If I'd rearranged the alphabet, I'd put you and I together. The fuck do you mean?
It's oh no, is that why I have the Riz thing? Is that what it is? Is it like it's like a, oh my gosh, there's a crossroad somewhere there, they cross over. People
What?
say I do dad jokes, and then other people say I have Riz.
Congratulations, Marcus. We have discovered you have dad riz. This is a significant discovery in your journey. Wait, are we just now discovering that dad riz is actually a real thing and that you can quantify this phenomena? I'm afraid we might have to study you, Marcus.
That's a bit scary. That is a bit terrifying to think about. That there is some kind of correlation there and it's a real thing.
I mean, yeah, in general, you follow along the lines of like, well, it depends, right? Because if you're using terrible, cheesy pickup lines and that still classifies as Riz, then you've got dad Riz.
I think I'll have dad Riz.
You know, fair enough. Try it on your partner. Look,
I could
always be rizzing your
I've
partner.
said several puns, and they just kind of look at me lovingly like, "Oh, Marcus."
You adorable scamp, you.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. So, what are you feeling for today? You've got some things on your mind, or you just sort of wanting to check in?
I guess I'd start with the things I definitely wanted to type that out in our messages. I didn't want to forget those notes.
Yeah, you did put up a
I think I
reasonable thing.
mentioned, yeah. Because I didn't know when we were gonna talk next, but I figured.
Wait, one moment. I think I've just, I'm just gonna check my phone for something. You know, it's one of those things.
Oh no!
Yeah. It's just for some unbeknownst reason
Oh,
I
yeah,
have to
I heard my
look.
phone.
Look, the only way that I get reception is if I stand here specifically, right? Yeah, completely.
Yeah, that's so funny because of how many the plates and all that. Some places you just cannot get reception.
No, it's
the moment you step.
we're
like,
in Lower
2
Zafira and
meters
we
from
are
the
in a
wall.
literal concrete building. No wonder,
Literally
like.
in like a concrete tunnels and stuff. It's so
Look,
well
everyone
done.
knows that these are
Where we
probably
headed up.
bulletproof. If these aren't bulletproof, you're doing something wrong in Zafira.
Oh yeah, I remember that conversation.
Literally,
When I
like,
open up
as
a little coffee
standard.
shop or something, I'm gonna make it bulletproof.
Yeah.
Bulletproof coffee shop. And let's be
Literally,
honest,
make a coffee shop, just
where's
call it the
bulletproof
bunker.
market for coffee mugs. The bunker. I would happily have a nice hot pot there. And let's be honest, we gotta have the ceramic mugs also be bulletproof.
I'm pretty
At
sure.
some point, it's
knowing
going to become hard
Zafirans,
to
if
replace
you've
it.
got bulletproof ceramic mugs, people are going to start trying to use them as battens or like some kind of makeshift
Let's see.
knuckle duster.
The bar fighting game goes wild there. Because the drinks and the cups don't break.
Yeah, you're just spiking
So
it up.
cleaning the blood would be a bit. Sorry to go off topic again.
Right, so anyway. So you brought up that, let's see, what does memory serve? Something had spiked your anxiety and stress levels. You had that, and something about that you lost your
Oh, yeah.
temper, if I remember
think I
rightly.
used the medication properly. I did feel mighty anxious. Most of the time, I guess I don't really pay attention to that kind of stuff too often, but I did try and, take note of it. I mean, I literally noted it in our phone messages, so
Yeah.
it wasn't pleasant feeling. I just know definitely that was like anxiety. I think it was, so
Well, it's good you identified it.
I did take the medication when I had a moment at
That's
home.
good. Did it help
And,
ease it off?
I think I felt better.
Well, that's
I
good.
was still worried and such, right? But I didn't have the sinking feeling after a bit.
You
I
didn't
wasn't sure if
focus
that
on
was
it.
because of the medication or I just took a breather.
Bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, removing yourself from the situation is normally the first way to help anxiety as is, as anyone will tell you. Focusing on anything else other than what is causing you anxiety definitely helps.
And I mean, even thinking about it right now, I'm a bit antsy, but I don't got the feeling of a hole in my chest or anything.
And that's definitely a good thing.
I just noticed sometimes I don't breathe properly. And I've had that problem.
You
I
too?
know it,
First time?
because when
Come on, you've been decapitated, Markus.
oh, well, that's a different kind of breathing issue, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. I was gonna say.
That's going pretty okay though.
Look,
It feels a bit jittery from time to time, but I think that's just my brain being like, oh, hey,
yeah, you
you
had your
accidentally
head
felt
taken
the
off.
neck skull. That's funny.
Yeah, it's an interesting feeling being decapitated. Not that I actually was, but I felt it.
That's for sure.
Things get complicated sometimes like that.
There's been strange instances of, how I put it, them virtual things where they kind of simulate stuff or whatever. I've been in one of those once, and that was weird because I felt like getting like burnt or shot sort of thing because they try to, do that, but they don't do it to the point that you feel like you're actually getting burnt or shot. That was weird. But I haven't done that since because I only tried it once. I'm like, I'm new to all this tech stuff. It seems whimsical and all that, and I think I'm not ready for that again. What they call it? Life something? What? It might have like bacon lettuce something. I don't remember what they called it.
Wait, you're not talking about better than life, are you?
It was like a thing I put over my eyes, and they said it was like a simulation thing.
Oh, virtual reality? Yeah. I mean, the technology's there, but at least it's not the bad kind.
I think they said it was a better than life thing. That rings a bell. Maybe that was it. I don't know. I don't know what tech stuff was that they just randomly tried.
The original better than life from what case note trials that I saw back in the day was direct probes straight into the brain. It wasn't on a screen or anything. It was directly injected into your head. Literally like a silver band across the forehead. And it became indistinguishable from reality because, well, it's a direct stimulation of the neural nodes, which meant that people essentially got trapped in there, except they weren't like totally paralyzed. So you'd still have people that were giggling and rocking back and forth and moving, even whilst still inside a simulation. So essentially they acted almost like a drug addict. And whilst the makers of it said that you could exit at any time, no one wanted to because, well, it was better than life. And, well, you look at life around Zafira in general, it's shit. So, yeah, people enjoying
I mean, the thing in prison
everything.
was a spiky thing they put over my head.
Oh.
It's kind of spiky.
Yeah, but was that to, like, cause you more, like, pain or make you feel uncomfortable? Sort of the opposite, almost.
They said something, I don't know, it's like more time passed than what I actually passed because that was like...
So wait, when did you go into
They
prison?
could punish you efficiently. It was like, not this city, but unless it was. I was very new to the realm. I don't remember where I committed the crimes or whatnot and then got caught.
So, in Zafira.
I think so.
I'm just putting together that.
Honestly,
So they took the better than life idea and program, realized that it was no good for a commercial property, scrapped it, then repurposed it for prisoner pacification?
Well, imagine if,
It's kind of fucked up.
when I think about it, that's pretty efficient. If you want the prisoners to do labor work as part of their thing, and then you also want to punish them in an efficient manner where only a couple minutes pass and they can get back to it.
Yeah.
But to me, it was like... It was more than a minute.
Well, especially if they made it feel like you'd slept, because if you've got probes directly into your neural nodes, like in the right places, like hypothalamus, or so on and so forth, if they can trick the brain into thinking that it's had 8 hours of REM sleep.
In the cells, Liam, he explained. Okay, some fella named Liam, he explained to me back then that they make it so you go through enough that you have proper sleep, but then that's it. And then the time that I was asleep, what they put me through
was
with the
inside
band
your
thing
head.
was longer than that.
Huh. It's kind of fucked up. Yeah. Yeah, because you think about it. REM sleep is what the brain uses to reset itself. So if you've got that band on and it's resetting it, like, you don't actually sleep. They just turn the band on, make you think you have slept for 8 hours. Your body reacts as if you have slept and processed the information. You essentially sleep for a minute and then just keep slaving away. That's
And it's a really
kinda
strange
fucked up.
thing
Yeah.
because solitary confinement technically existed, but as you can imagine, no one actually saw anyone go into solitary confinement
They just
And-
turned it on.
in the world. You just flick on solitary confinement or something with the band.
That's... Yeah, I'm glad I never got into prison. Then again, to be fair, the time when I could have been locked up was, 200 odd years ago, so...
My optimistic ass was like, well, at least I actually didn't have to deal with the punishment of solitary confinement and actuality of time being
Yeah.
wasted, which is probably why they're doing it. But that's the only positive I could take away from that, is that at least it wasn't actually that long. It was only a couple hours or minutes.
See, so the fact that you can happily discuss your time in prison and the fact that it was an abhorrent, ethically wrong, morally corrupt place, and still actually laugh about it, goes to show that, yeah, you can move past something that you've had anxiety about in the past. So that's a good thing. So whatever you've had that has currently been
Some
causing
parts
you
of it that are
anxiety is
easy,
probably...
and other parts are just jarring.
Yeah, so I'm assuming what happened recently to spike your anxiety was a bit more a shock, like you weren't expecting it. Like in prison, you expect to suffer. Like they literally tell you you're gonna have a bad time. So your
I
anxiety.
guess putting it like this, you and I, with the kind of lives we live in, or have lived,
Yeah.
or currently existing through.
Well, these days at least.
For most people, when they get into the thicker kind of gang activity and crime, a lot of people, at least where I come from, they say it's a choice. 'Cause
Yeah.
it is. There's that certain threshold there where you acknowledge that you're no longer the random woman, child, or innocent bystander walking around. You
Well,
have opted into that so-called game.
it's that or you go
Same
home,
deal with
and
everyone
sometimes
there.
you don't want to go home because home's worse.
It's the same kind of mentality, I suppose. It's, I know what I signed up for, kind of thing. Or at
Yeah.
least I have some understanding, and I accept the unforeseen consequences ultimately. So when terrible things happen in a place that makes sense for it to happen, it isn't so shocking. But when what's happened to me recently, or that's back my anxiety, it is a genuine shock. I didn't expect to hear terrible things or whatnot. And yeah, the things I heard about are terrible. It's related to me following your advice of getting information, getting up to date. One of them at least.
Reducing in some ways, but exacerbating in others. Okay.
I mean, it is a nasty thing of like, oh, I've got a tack on my head. I'd like more news about Leap Foundry and whatnot.
Yeah, no,
I'd like
that's a difficult
be kept
subject
informed
for a
because
lot.
it is an anxious thing in general. Yeah. Honestly, with that one, with how much it's a prevalent thing for a couple of people, I don't blame them for not wanting to talk about it, but I'm glad they updated me.
I mean,
I'm
I'm neck deep in a lot of stuff that's related with LF at this point. Not too willingly, sure, don't get me wrong, but, well,
Likewise,
the whole Kaiga situation.
guess that's some of the consequences of getting involved with people in the first place, I realize.
Yeah. You get
It's
involved with
just
people
more-
and you get involved with their baggage. That's
What's tough?
very much a thing. As much as we all hate to admit it sometimes. Getting to know people
Yeah, I'm
comes
so
with the
adjusting to it.
downsides. But, well.
Like I've explained, I've been on the road, isolated from community, or the concept of it even for quite a while. I guess it's hitting me a bit harder than I thought. People with people problems, hurting people. I am familiar with that, but I just haven't had to deal with it for so long.
Well, thinking about it, Marcus, what's your view on the rack? Like, when you look at the meat rack as a community, what do you see?
Well, I see it's a hodgepodge of several different peoples trying to make something work.
Would
There's
you
at
call
least
it a
one kind
family?
of common goal there, and that is the. Ooh. See, that's the thing I want to talk about. This Yarrick. That's what actually got me angry.
Tell me about that.
Yarrick grouped me with someone else with a similar statement, saying that they're one of us. And it riled me up and I lashed out immediately.
Why
So
did
I
that
suppose
rile
I
you
don't
up?
agree with the statement. I said this to Riel once. Because Riel mentioned a similar thing, tribalism. Comes down to that. People have different understandings and definitions of friendship even. Friendship, family,
Very true,
acquaintances.
yes.
And mine is different too. With
Why
how
I'm
things
asking.
stand, I can't look at that and say that we're family. Not by my personal definition. And it hurts personally because of my.
I'm sure there are
My
certain
personal
people that
issues
you would
with
look at
family
in the rack and
past.
see that you could have what some might say as a familial bond. That you are truly that close to some people. But in an over-encompassing way, like throughout the entirety of the rack, you would not consider the whole rack as a family. Just those of the rack that you have chosen that
No,
you would.
my common sense mind and all that, I cannot with my baggage and all that consider everyone family. It's a nice thought. The concept is nice to have a very strong bond like that. I can see that when people say that it's what they want.
They care, yes.
They want everyone to be tight. They want everyone to care for each other like family. I can't agree.
I'll always see the rack
But I
as a
see
gang,
the witch.
but
Oh, that's a tough one. I was gonna bring that up.
well, it's
What
just
they're
that it's
probably thinking
legitimized.
is that kind of thing.
Like that's the way I see it. You look at the fact that, say, how many council members have you seen down at the rack? I've met 2 there. Well, I've seen 3. I've actively talked
I've
to
seen
2 of the
3 of
council
them
members.
existing on the street at the same time, and that's probably another instance of my anxiety spiking. Wow, look at that. 3 of them in the same place.
I mean,
Oh
it was
my
mildly
God,
terrifying when I
serious.
had one of them run up to me, yell at me, and then say, "Here's a pretty much blank check. Sort this person out," which was kind of against my normal code of doing things. And then there was the time I ran up to Councilman McKay and asked him if he needed therapy. That was actually kind of funny. I'll give Marge that. But when it comes down to
It
it,
is a very loaded question, though.
you look at the
that
rack
family stuff.
and it's very much, well, it's legitimized. It's like a religion. Because when you've got something like the council stepping down into a place like that and casually walking around, you realize that the rack itself is like an oasis. Waterfront district's kind of shit. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not by far not the worst district, but it's pretty down the rungs.
I was sleeping in rubble for a bit there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Market technically has taken over.
The Oasis analogy is really fucking true. Oh, yeah.
Like, Market was nice, and then, well, yeah, that entire situation happened and the whole place got leveled. So that's probably the most dangerous, because, well, when something like that happens, the looters, pillagers, and then all the smaller gangs move in. But the rack, being the way it is, it looks out for everyone around it. It's an oasis within the waterfront. Everyone knows that if you go to the rack streets, you're safe. Those streets are watched. It's got backing. I don't want to see the rack fall apart. I can see there's a lot of tension, though. Like, I won't see it as a family, because I can tell a family would talk and get past some of the problems, but the intrinsic issues that I have noticed, just the pettiness between different factions within. Like, we in medical, you look at us and we go, man, it sure sucks that security just casually runs into a place and doesn't follow procedure. You know. I'm sure there's same
It
sort
also
of...
kind of sucks that I know there's some security that do respect that.
Yeah.
Then they get impaired in with all that. At the same time, it's reoccurring enough that I do understand why people would pair all the security together like that and not just the one or two offenders.
Yeah.
Because it happens so often.
It's the thing, it's individuals within that cause some friction because of the standing that they have within particular parts of the rack. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm pretty sure I've caused a fair bit of friction myself, even though all I'm trying to do is help. But at the same time, the way I have to see things is as an objective medic. I have to sit there and look at all the angles and try to see what is best for the people. Patient comes first.
And there's, I guess, just the whole thing of that same family or that tribe thing that was stated sometimes. My warning there was, if you put people into a family of sorts, then
More
you might
painful
have
when
an
it
issue
breaks.
with considering what happens when that starts falling apart, or also starting to forget the individuals in that so-called tribe because you're just looking at it as
Yeah, the individuals get lost into the whole conglomerate of it being that. Suddenly individuality is gone. When individuality is gone and you just see one entity, that's when things get bad.
And I was basically, I snapped upon hearing that immediately from Yarick at the warehouse that other week, because it was him pairing me with Ethan.
Yeah, a lot of
And then
people
it was
are...
also about Kyga. So there were several layers there of, oh, we're all part of the same thing. This is me trying to explain my anger,
I've heard
my
lots of
burst right
complaints
now.
about Ethan in general from a variety of people. So I definitely get where you're coming from
Without
there.
even talking about my baggage there, I'm just kind of trying to understand why I sparked so violently in front of Yarick. He's basically said to me, or how I interpreted it, is you and Ethan are part of the same thing. You're pairing me with Ethan in context of disregarding Kyga's wish, which Kyga is also in Yarick's definition of,
Wow, even though
you know,
Kyga is no
logic,
longer part of the rack.
us.
That's the thing. Like, I didn't know Kaiga for very long. I joined medical, maybe a week
It's
or
even
two
worse,
before he left?
is that he's saying this relations that we've had with Kaiga is instantly chopped off, severed, because he's not there. He's not part of us anymore.
Yeah,
What does all of that time that I and several other colleagues have had with him, the fights we've been through.
Yes, he's
any of that
throwing
mean
the
then?
history
It is
out of the window and not
suddenly
caring about.
severed.
It's lack of context. He's taking the history and just disregarding it. It's like, are you within this? It's like doing one of those like 3 circle charts. Just like that. You draw the circle, you draw that circle, draw that circle. Is person in here? Yes. Then also in here? Yes. Oh, then this person is this.
Oh, there's diagrams.
Yeah.
Oh, those are funny sometimes. Yeah, so I realized that's what got me really riled up. I raised my voice, I got really hot-headed.
No, it's understandable.
Because
That is a trigger. You have been triggered specifically by, and in this case, a completely reasonable trigger to actually be hit by. The fact that you have been grouped in a way that you didn't like being grouped. You could be happily grouped as a member of the rack, yes, but having it put as something that you don't see it as and being forced into that narrative by someone else is obviously upsetting, which it does. Like, I get that it's not the healthiest thing to snap at someone.
If he said, hey, you guys are colleagues, you shouldn't get mad at each other or work
Sit down and talk it out.
If he said it like that, I understand. I get it. It's
but
like, you're
you
right.
guys are family.
Yeah, colleagues.
Then
But
it's like,
you
well,
see it
yeah.
like a family thing. Like, we're well together now.
Yeah.
Why are we working
Like,
together?
I will-
It's like, yeah, what
again,
about this?
I say the same thing. I'm not part of the family. If I was part of the family, I would definitely be the black sheep. Because if I have to call people out on things, I will do so.
I get more pissed off at it. I get more pissed off at it because of... I ain't too unfamiliar with, like, gang activity and stuff. We have that understanding. I mean, you probably figure it too.
I mean, I've got
Everyone's
context from
working
back in the
together,
day.
but
You're out for yourself.
everyone's working together, but everyone's also out there for themselves at the end of the day.
Look,
When say
everyone
I'm in
brought the
city
credits
back
to the
in
table.
my home place, and it was the same kind of mentality.
if you went out and you
Chris and
hustled,
Thomas
you
may
ended
have
up with
their
5
problems,
credits.
But we go hustle.
Yeah, what are you going to end up with? If you come back with 5 credits, you can't do shit on your own. But suddenly, if everyone comes up with 5 credits, suddenly, hey, you can get yourself a pizza and some fries and a bottle of drink that shares around everyone, and suddenly you all get to eat instead of sitting there and just eating some half moldy bread or whatever you can get your hands on.
It's a community or gang sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's
It's the pool for the betterment of everyone involved.
mentality, I realize. And not everyone's on that kind of level or familiar with that kind of mentality.
Again, I literally could not see the rack as a family, because if I did so, I would not have an objective viewpoint outside of people to be able to call people out on things. Like, if I'm not sitting there on the outside going, this needs to change. Like, you know the current situation with Kaiga, right?
It's one of the things that's spiked the anxiety.
You know the reason that Kaiga is in their current predicament.
All too well.
Right. So,
Not really the reason.
you know who caused Kaiga's
I know
current
how.
situation.
It's what I did get updated, and it's what also, it's also why I took some of the anxiety meds.
Yeah. Now, I want you to imagine this for a minute, okay? If the rack is the family, as has been said, right? When something like that, when 2 diametrically opposed people that have got their own reasons for disliking each other, but are both belonging to that family, clash, what happens?
I might not be the best person to talk about family or
No,
the
I'm just
typical
using it.
family
I'm just
sort
using it
of
as the example. You see,
thing,
like
but
because I'm
yeah, I
again,
guess
I'm
the ideal
validating
thing
your point.
I've always imagined is that people would talk it out, right? People would talk
Yes.
it out.
Gosh, I
instead
wish people
of
did. Marcus,
seeking other
please
sources.
tell more people to do that. Please, that advice. Do my job for me. Please. The amount of people that could
'Cause when I
just
had
fix
an
their
issue
fucking
with,
issues
like,
if they did.
Felix or whatever, like when I had an issue with Felix or whatever, doing a full-on like flirting thing with someone, I literally
Brought it up to them.
processed that information, said, Felix, I need to talk to you about it. And we did. And that was fine.
It upset you. You brought it up to them. You said, hey, I did not like this behavior. They said, oh, I'm sorry. You said, thanks. I appreciate the fact that you didn't get angry at me for bringing up something I disliked. Could you not do that? And they were like, yes, no, I understand your viewpoint. This was probably wrong of me to have done. And they gave you the respect in return because you respected them by bringing it up professionally. As an actual person to
It always
person.
establishes as well that we can talk about that stuff.
Exactly.
And it's okay. But with how things are now and what I've learned, definitely doesn't seem like people are at any kind of level where they feel like it's okay to talk about certain things. And
Yeah, why do you think I did
with
what
that
I
in
did?
mind, I understand.
I literally
What
had them
did you
sit
do?
down together.
So Kaiga knows about?
Yeah. Do you know why I did that?
Well, if I put myself in his shoes, I'd rather know than not know.
Yeah, he was upset about
If
that.
I knew, then I could probably try and get over it, or
Yes. You see, you're
figure
seeing
out
it from
what the
how
fuck
I
wanna
see it.
do.
As a psychiatrist, I'm sitting here going, he doesn't know who did this to him. Now that he does know, he at least has something to focus on, even if it's anger, which is understandable. Like, I will happily say that
Wanna
that is
know,
perfectly
I
fine.
have something mighty terrible to share, because I heard different stories from my world, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm really glad you did that, because I think about a thing that happened back in the city I was at, where I started to get this accent. There'd be different gangs and all that, and there was a thing where a similar situation, not really the same. Essentially, the fella wasn't told for a very long time who was responsible for something, and what did he do? He just offed himself. After all things were said and done, and things were apparently fine, because he started to try and heal. He didn't know anything, and he felt the most immense betrayal.
Yeah.
Fucking
I
got
a little
Someone breaks the
upset.
news to poor Shelby at the party or at the bar, and the hole in his heart was so fucking massive he decided to make it a real thing. You know?
I lost my temper when I literally heard that his family was going. They all knew, like the logs of the conversation, all the information was out. They all knew who did it, and not a single one of them was going to say anything until he had his body back. And I'm sitting here going, you're going to let a person actively sit here
Really?
in pain,
What?
just literally, I watched him twice, 2 days in a row, get his limbs torn off fighting, slamming himself against a wall essentially, to try and feel something or work out his frustrations. Yet, instead of telling him and helping him to actually understand that he can work through the anger and figure out what he wants to do, they were just going to leave him in that state, getting worse and worse and worse, until he got his body back, and they'd be like, and that's the
Given what
reason
I've gone
why.
through and the bullshit I hear about with the boys back in my town, Ater, thank you for not causing another fucking Thomas and Shelby moment in the fucking tavern.
Well, I'm doing what I do, and I've probably stepped on some toes. So I'm saying, look, as a person that I cannot be in the family, because someone's got to do this kind of thing. And sadly, it literally falls into my job description as working within the bounds of the medical ethics. I couldn't, in consciousness, actually say anything about what had happened. I knew all the information, but doctor-patient confidentiality stopped me from doing so. I literally had to tell them, go fucking talk to them. Told them that the first time they came to me and actually had a session. They didn't, and I had to press the matter. Why? Because they were afraid. And that's understandable, right? I get that.
Understandable when the idea of family isn't actually there in the first place. Why Skipper didn't want to really talk out.
Well, it was also, there's other things that I can't talk about in their situation that still falls under doctor-patient confidentiality as to why they did what they did. But that I'm not allowed to talk about. What I can talk about is the fact...
I don't know anything about these logs or anything.
Yeah, look, I kind of lied about that when someone brought that up. Someone was like, oh, the logs of the conversation that Skipper had are out with the person from LF, but it doesn't give the context. I have good reason and knowledge that I have been given directly from Skipper as to why I trust them on what they said about things and why I was helping them. And sure, Kaiga's well within their rights to be pissed and want to kill them. Fair enough. My hands are clean here. You guys do whatever the fuck you want to do with each other. I will try to make it a reasonable resolution, but that's up to them, right? We can only all do our parts as a crew, as workers, as a team, but never as a family. Because as a family, you fracture and break once, and what happens? The scars aren't going to heal.
I don't think I can... even though I'm all for, like, peaceful talk, and I don't necessarily... I mean, I'm a goddamn doctor. Do I really want...
Look, Markus, I know very well that if you wanted to, you'd shoot someone in the fucking face.
No.
Like, in the right circumstances, someone steps up to you, you are going to just unload a face full of buckshot into them. Like,
I just hope I never have to do that to someone that I see as a work colleague or anything like that.
Likewise. You know, I mean, whilst I carry my gun and I joke around a lot with it, I don't want to pull the trigger on anyone.
So I think anyone staying with family will always be a bit of a trigger to me, I think.
You're not wrong.
Especially with that Skipper stuff that I was told for a while.
What we can bring out from this is that it's just a matter of communicating that to people. That you understand that may be how they feel, and they're entitled to that opinion. But that is not your opinion or how you see it. And whilst it will trigger you and make you feel upset or anxious, explain to them. Be like, look, I don't see it that way. I care about all the people at the wreck. I care very much. All these people, wonderful. They are great friends. They are great co-workers. But I cannot see them as family.
And I don't necessarily want Skipper to be, like, blasted to smithereens or anything like that. I don't understand why they went ahead with that stuff. I may not. I just hope that
they were taken advantage of.
An appropriate punishment.
Yeah, no,
advantage of?
Skipper did actively hire the LF to put Kaiga down. But it was more like, say, a bullying.
I sort of was told it was a mistake.
Yeah. They hired them, but it was to knock him over and just sort of, the whole, look, you're small. Like, Skipper was made to feel small by Kaiga. Skipper wanted to return the favor. Skipper couldn't do that themselves. They needed outside help. So in getting that outside help, they hired the LF to essentially do the whole knock the person over, kick them a couple of times on the ground, spit on them and be like, now you feel small and low. But because Skipper did not hire them with the right wording, the LF were able to worm around in their contract and go above and beyond what Skipper wanted. They took advantage of a weak moment.
Okay, that...
Yeah.
On pen and paper, sure. I don't agree with that.
But you can see where the emotion factors into it. if you
The
feel like,
emotion, kind of.
if you feel that someone has made you
ignored
small,
that Skipper and I fought LF together, and
Yeah.
Skipper knows exactly what they're capable of. And that one fucking cowboy guy was going around with a replica of someone's weapon that they had literally killed, and that was the word going around the street,
yeah,
and all of this other stuff. Skipper was there. Why
Skipper made
did they
a
just
mistake.
decide to ignore that?
Yeah. When people get stuck in their feelings, you understand that very well. It's the same kind of the way that you were triggered by being, compared in family. Kyger had very much upset Skipper with something very specific that had hurt Skipper greatly, and Skipper wanted to pay that back and knew no one else to go to except for these people, which, thinking that, hey, if I just take out a contract, it'll work.
I'm just gonna have to disagree with that kind of aspect.
Yeah, no,
I ain't
I
gonna
understand.
do anything about it, right? I'm just putting my perspective there of, with all the stuff Skipper and I have been through, it doesn't make any sense to me that a person would go to those fuckers
Yeah.
for just a little bit of bullying and pushing over and dominating.
No. It's not just
They
a little
made
bit
it
of bullying.
clear
It
from
was
the very fucking thing.
no. That's the part of the
They made it clear from
doctor-patient
the fucking
confidentiality
beginning
that
what
I
they-
cannot
they
breach.
Are literally, yeah.
But I will tell you that the reason Skipper
they
did
wanted
this
hell and
was
hurt
because
them,
they
it-
felt very hurt because of what Kyger had said. Because of something very specific and very dear to Skipper that, again, I can't specify or talk about directly. They felt it so
I'm
strongly that they
assuming
needed to
and
do.
part of what was said and
I
vented out and the,
I don't know what hasn't been said around places, so I'm going to stick to the medical correct thing and not bring up the specificity of what has been told to me in confidence. But knowing what I do know is that considering the situation and how they felt about it,
And I get it, so it's
Yeah.
yes, they wanted to bring on hell to Kygo of some sort
Yeah.
and didn't expect it to push him into the literal pits of Tartarus.
yes,
that
exactly.
makes sense.
It was they thought if I can hire them and just get them to lay him low, just put him on the ground, kick him a couple of times, spit on him, be like, now you feel like a small person just like I felt.
Mm-hmm.
They thought that would be fine. But because it
I
was
get
poorly
that,
worded, the LF
okay.
were like, well,
I
actually,
get
we
that,
can do
it's
this. Because they don't act without it being in a contract, from what I've been made aware. So because of that,
Well,
they were able to worm.
I was on the field with Skipper, and I was just as much at risk of being flayed alive right in front of Skipper as much as everyone else standing there at the time when we were fighting LF.
Fair enough.
That's the only thing I don't see eye to eye is you've literally been through that, bud. You've seen what they're
Then
gonna do to us.
that'll be a
and
conversation
think
you can
they're
have
not
with
going to
Skipper.
do that?
All I know is, at this point, I have to wonder if I
And
should do the
at
thing
this
where I
point,
kind of give them the
it's
cheat
just-
code, but
it's just
I
twisting
shouldn't.
the knife if I
Yeah.
given the cheat code.
Well, no, giving Skipper the
I
cheat
don't know if
code.
that's gonna work.
Look, I'm going to say this because you are my medical primary. Okay, so this is now doctor-patient confidentiality.
As
Okay.
a man stubborn being on the field with him, if you need a test dummy, I can be that test dummy of stubbornness having
Yeah.
fought LF beside Skipper.
No, I can say this in doctor-patient
I ain't gonna
confidentiality
act on
between us because this
I
is you
just
not
want to make sure
repeating it.
nobody gets hurt. And if things do go south, I want to make this very clear. I want to help heal people.
Yeah,
Be it
look, I want to
whoever
help
the fuck is
everyone.
sending
I
who,
want to make sure
whatever.
everyone can
That's
come
all I
out of this
care about.
okay. I want the rack to not fracture because the way things currently
Gonna
are,
deal with the
it's
powder keg.
yeah, it's currently at a tipping point and it could end up in a civil war, and no one wants that. Once
As much of
Oasis,
a hothead I appear sometimes, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I've stepped in a couple of powder kegs. I've been in fucking bullshit.
we got to
Well,
do
one
it for
day
the
can I
greater
just
good.
sit
But what I will say,
Mm-hmm.
because this is in confidentiality, is that
Okay.
if Skipper is specifically there, if Skipper gives their all and goes on every mission that they can against the LF to prove themselves, to show how much they understand that they made a mistake. And they are there trying to save Kaiga every step of the way. And then when Kaiga is potentially saved, throw themselves at his mercy straight away. There's a slim chance, and I mean the slimmest of slim chances, that Skipper might be able to avoid just being outright killed. Not that some people don't think that that's even fair in the first place, because being a synthetic, Skipper can just upload. They could literally just upload everything, put it into a new chassis. Then again, someone might
That's
just
where the whole
EMP
discussion
them.
of punishment, I suppose, comes in. Like, there's redemption and there's punishment.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Skipper can go for redemption. It's the very slimmest because of what I did is the fact that Skipper still has a chance at redemption. But if they fuck it up, that's on them. I cannot, in good conscience, tell them that they should do this. Because if I do, that is giving them the keys.
It's a really fucking tough path.
Yeah. It's a hard path for them in the first place, but if we as a medical professional go up and be like, look, if you want any chance at all, do this. It doesn't make it makes it disingenuous. It doesn't make it real. They didn't make that choice themselves. They made the choice because someone that knows the best choice told them the best choice. So I have to sit here,
it's
lip
definitely
sealed.
Something that has a lot more leeway,
Yeah.
a lot more power to it when it's something they chose to do themselves. I get that too.
Yeah, and
The
without that,
the actual value of that card is lessened when we give it to them.
exactly. So, I mean,
again,
I can see where
even
you're
though
coming
I
from
don't
with
agree and I
like the
don't see the
variety of
same
anxieties, but you're doing really well.
Yeah, even though I don't agree, and I don't agree with Skipper, the choices, and I don't get it on a
Yeah.
particular level,
Look,
I see that as well. I think that would be a good thing to do, or whatever, would be pretty good, and I'd want to support them. in trying to
yeah,
redeem
all you've got to
themselves,
do is
'cause
go over to Skipper and be like, hey, can we talk somewhere private, and ask Skipper, like, I know, can you tell me exactly why you did it? Skipper will give it to you from their mouth. It's a lot easier that way, because after Skipper actively talking to Kaiga, it is
I'd
no
even
longer
wanna
doctor-patient
voice to Skipper, it's
confidentiality.
like, hey,
I can talk.
I don't agree with you, but I want to support you.
Yeah, and that's what Skipper needs right now.
I don't know if that would mean anything to
No,
them.
that's
or
really what
if
they need.
People
Like,
would appreciate that even though I'm angry at them, or I don't like what they did and I don't get it, that I'm going to put that to the side.
yeah,
'cause
same. That's literally what I'm
want
trying to
things to
do.
work.
I'm objective here. I want everyone to come to a peaceful resolution. I
like
would prefer.
Skipper, I literally came out of a really awful situation in prison sort of thing. I really do believe in second chances.
Yeah, and hopefully Skipper can earn it. But that's, well, that's them.
I also
Anyway.
don't want to put too much on them because I cannot imagine being in that situation.
Yeah, that's true. But it goes to show
Thank you
that
for letting me
even
talk
with
about it.
you haven't triggered your anxiety. See? Being able to be open and communicate
I mean,
might make
I
you a
hold
little
my breath
anxious.
a little bit, but
Yeah.
that's just a normal anxiousness.
Exactly. You don't have to get
The other
overworked on it.
thing, I had a whole other thing, but that's the big one that's present. The other one just has to do with my parts.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. The past is the past. You can get to that in time. Focus on what's currently presently the most
That
important.
one's a lot more rational.
Yeah. This, it's a big thing.
That one, I know we gotta go to a meeting here. So,
Yeah, we do. I was going to say, because the rec is actually opened, and yeah, we did have that call from
We
Lorelei.
got a bit ways to walk.
Yeah, look.
All I want to say about that, at least if you don't mind me,
Yeah?
is it's just to do with like family and stuff again. Met someone, talked to them. They mentioned my dad, and it was a peaceful conversation. But just the fact that my dad's still walking around back in my homeland or something, it scared me. I didn't think I'd be so freaked out from the actual conversation or something relevant been popping up.
You were caught
I
off
went and
guard.
visited folks there, and they thought I was him. They said you look just like him. I don't like that I look just like him, but yeah, he's my dad.
I don't know if I look like my father. I'd never really paid enough attention and wasn't grown enough to figure it out. All we can ever hope to be is, well, if they're good people, to follow in their footsteps, and if they're
Guess I
bad
shouldn't
people,
be surprised
don't
that
grow
when
up
I
to be
grew
them.
up I'd look like him.
Yeah. Look, as long as I don't end up like my dad, I don't give a shit. That guy could fucking rot for all I care. Luckily, he, well, probably already is. Anyway.
Wish mine was rotten.
Yeah, considering my
Anyways.
father was a piece of shit, so. From what I remember, at least.
If I tried to apply the same kind of consideration that I do to Skipper and other things, I'm sure there's reasons. My dad did whatever and whatever your dad did. But,
Yeah.
you know, the meetings soon. Right.
Yeah, look, we can. Look, Portal Network's not too far from here. We can get to the hub. Hub will get us to Waterfront. Waterfront gets us straight to the fucking
Given how
rack.
stressful things are and how much you've probably been talking about all that Skipper bullshit, thank you for sitting down with me and filling me up with all that info.
Oh,
gonna help.
I mean, that's. Look, as much as I'm all for dealing with that, at least it's not the apocalypse I'm also dealing with. Don't worry about that. Oh no, you think I'm joking?
Likewise.
No, I mean an actual literal apocalypse. Yeah, fun times.
I mean, that's the reason I'm not in my home world. Felt like the world was ending.
Yeah, this one could. I hate these kind of things. All right, let's get the fuck out of here. Let's get to the rack.